Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Happy Saturday afternoon to you. I'm Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle, back with you again. It is a few minutes after 2 o'clock, so I was looking at some of the newest computer data that came in, usually right around the 1 o'clock hour, so I did a lot of analysis on that. And a reason why? Well, because we have a couple of storm systems coming our way. Yes, we had the one that was for Thursday night and Friday. Ended up being much of a nothing burger for Oklahoma for the most part. Just some light snow, which is fine. You know, it kind of just gets your taste buds wet. We're going to have a better opportunity for some snow with the second system on Monday to Tuesday, and then finally the one for Thursday into Friday. So we have 3 winter storms. Most of these, at least the first 2, have a bigger impact to our friends up to the north end of Kansas than they do Oklahoma. The one that we have coming up on Friday probably has the best opportunity for a larger area, including the Sooner State. We're going to talk about all of those and more, and the cold air that's coming. So thanks for watching. Make sure you tell your friends and family. Go ahead and hit the share button so it shows up on your feeds of social media. Your other cohorts can see it, chime in, tune in, all that kind of stuff. Out there currently, before I do that, before I get started real quick, some housekeeping. Some of you have noticed this or not. Some of you don't, because you can only reach so many people at one point. But I'm going to put it in the chat section for on Facebook. So if you would like to get notified when I do go live, I've had a system in place for a while where if you click on the link, it'll say opt-in weather updates. If you've been using that, you can still use that, at least for the time being. It's a third-party system that I pay for to notify you, since Facebook doesn't always notify you. It's kind of a workaround, right? Well, Facebook then released what they call broadcast channels. So broadcast channels is where you follow any of your creators, and they can send you a direct message. They can send a little chat in there for you. They can send a little video, whatever they want to reach you that's outside of your standard feed, on your wall. Because remember, if you're following, say, 1,000 accounts or 5,000 friends, your feed has got a lot of stuff on it. Odds are you're not going to see everyone's content, right? So this is kind of a workaround that they've decided to come up with for that. So I've been using it to let you know when I go live. I've had over 4,000 people join in. So if you'd like to, it's called Join the Facebook Weather Broadcast Channel. So click on that link. And that way you will be able to find out as well how to join in. And I posted on the chat a couple of times, so you should be able to see it scroll through. You have to have Facebook Messenger on your phone, though, for that to work. There's also a support and donate option area for you if you'd like to give a little back to the AT's Weather Center. Appreciate it. You guys on YouTube, thanks for checking in. I see you in there for the afternoon. A lot of you probably watch the replay because you're out and about here this afternoon running some errands. It's actually some decent weather for this weekend. It's all going to come to an end later next week. And then I don't know when it's coming back, so you might as well enjoy it while you can. All right, so here's a look what happened out there currently. Partly cloudy skies. Not much of a wind the last few days. Kind of a little bit of a one today. A northwest around 10. By the way, thank you, Kim, for the stars on Facebook. Same thing for you, Ron and Angela. Thank you so much. Temperatures, like I said, not too terrible. Right now, 43 degrees. So it's cold. It's standard, December stuff. If you'd like to pick up a Tempest weather station, you can do so. There's a promo code up there at the top right for you. Save you a few bucks on the system. You can also scan that QR code. Come back anytime during the broadcast and redo it. So let's go on to the big story. Okay, so temperatures, like I said, out there mainly in the 40s, getting some 50s already showing up. The Panhandle still got some 30s though, because they are already under the winter storm watch that has been issued for the Panhandle region of both Texas and Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas, southeast Colorado, northeastern New Mexico in advance of the next storm system, and that will expand and grow a little larger as the system moves on shore. So right now, it's this guy right here spinning around, and all the inclement cloud cover along with it, the weather will be making its way to our area. We do have a little weak system right here. It's a little weak shortwave trough, we call it, in the mid levels of the atmosphere, and that's zipping down like this. And normally these will bring precipitation. Now this time around, it's just going to bring some of these clouds you see outside. We don't have enough moisture to work with right now for that to do much. So that's probably about all we'll see out of it. But we will focus on, see, here's that color on the map you see. This is a jet stream pattern. That's the little wave that's kicking off some of those clouds. All right, so we'll move that by us. Here comes the next one. Now, if you've noticed, yesterday I made a post last night, and the night before we went live, we noticed a trend in the model data. I didn't like it because I'm a snow lover. And it was pushing things to the north. I'm like, oh, seriously? Why do you always have to do this? So look what happens. Remember, this is our center of the upper low, right here in the middle, this tightly wound circle you see. That's the storm system's dead center point. Watch what happens. This low, instead of doing this, like the models had suggested for the last few days, look what I decided to do. Go from here to here to here. This is what it's going to do. Watch this, man. All right, so I'm putting it in motion. Where are things going? I'm like, why are you going over there? Why you got to be like that? So this is by Monday night. So this thing take a jogs to the north. Now, why does it do this? Just like the last one did it? Well, because the models did not anticipate the strength of, let me clear this out right here, come back over here, get this back where I want it. It did not anticipate the pumping of a little bit of a ridge. So see how the lines kind of go up like this? So that is a ridge it bumps into. So instead of running right into it and just smashing it, it goes, oh, you want to kind of steer me and direct me this way? Okay, well then we'll do that. So that changes the outcome of the weather at a singular point. So for example, Oklahoma City. So instead of this thing coming right overhead or just to the south of us, it takes a jog to the north. So that changes things as far as the outlook goes. And we'll show you what the output of that for the snow means in a minute. Meanwhile, that thing slides on out. The next one's already coming in the Pacific Northwest, and we'll show you that here in a second. That will be the storm system for the end of the week. Okay, so a lift in the atmosphere, which produces the, of course, the cloud cover, but also produces the precipitation, and that can be in the form of, rain, snow, ice. It depends on what else we have in the ingredients to work with. So let's see, this guy here, we'll go to Monday. So you can see Sunday night to Monday, a lot of lift. In other words, all this red stuff on the map indicates we're going to see some pretty good precipitation coming down. Right now it'll be in the form of rain. But you can see as the little circles up here northwest of us, that's where it's cold enough for the snow, and that moves on out. So it's most of the lift, as you see, is in the first wave of the storm through Monday into, looks like Monday lunchtime, Monday afternoon. Otherwise, that's where the rainy part is. The cold part for the snow, the main lift is up into Kansas and northwest Oklahoma. Lame. All right, so let's go underneath that, see what it looks like when you factor in the cool colors. Blue is snow, green is the rain. So there you go. That is a look at Monday morning. And there's Monday afternoon. You see how that rain starts from central Oklahoma, moves off to the east. The blue, all that snow up across Nebraska, Kansas, western Missouri, southwestern Iowa, the panhandles. There's that surface low that represents from the position of the upper low by Monday afternoon and evening. You can see how it kind of takes this jog across the northern counties of Oklahoma with the wraparound snow along those folks. And then that moves out into Kansas and then Missouri. And after that, by Tuesday morning, it's all said and done and out of here. So let's do a close-up view of that, what that looks like for you with the timetable on here. So we'll zip on through. Let's start right here. So that's 3 o'clock in the morning for Monday. So we'll have a little light rainfall for you as you head on out to work on Monday morning. There's 6 a.m. Again, there's 9 a.m. So a wet start to your morning commute on Monday. Otherwise, heavier rain moves off into eastern Oklahoma after lunchtime. The wraparound snow affects northwest Oklahoma and maybe the far northern counties like around Ponca City and points westward. Maybe even Bartlesville, right along the state line, and that stuff's out of here. The models do indicate you might have a few flurries that wrap around through Tulsa down toward McAllister by Monday night and early Tuesday morning when we're all sleeping. Wouldn't see it anyway. Won't amount to much. Matter of fact, won't amount to anything really. Part of the reason why, take a look at these temperatures. When those lows go up too far north, it takes the warm air with it. So let's fast forward here and start you off on Monday. I'll show you why. So here is Monday morning, 6 a.m. We're in the 40s and 30s. So as we head into 9 a.m., of course, it's rain-cooled 30s out there, but all upper 30s. That's too warm for snow. As we head into noon, look at these 50s down here trying to sneak in from Lawton southward. As we head into the 3 o'clock hour on Monday, that's 50 degrees. Well, you're not going to get snow with that. All the cold stuff is up behind the upper low here in the Panhandle region, western Kansas. We've got some 20, so that is where you'll get the snow at that point in time. And that will kind of shift to the east. But as we mentioned, with the low moving to the north, by the time we head into Monday night and Tuesday morning, too little too late for these temperatures to cool down. So we don't get much of anything with this system, unfortunately, as far as snow goes. And that's just the way it is. And then look how quickly it rebounds by Tuesday during the afternoon. Back it up one more time. Right here into the 40s. Again, near 50 along the Red River. So any snow that is out there across the northern counties, especially northwest Oklahoma, should have no problem melting whatever's left. And then Kansas will be a little colder in the day, so their snow will hang in there. So if we do look at a model blend, we'll look at four different ones just to show you what the accumulation looks like on the snowfall totals. We're Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon. That's 48 hours. The event really doesn't start from about Monday afternoon into Tuesday, so technically we're beyond 2-day window, which I like to use for snowfall forecast totals, but it is what it is. We'll just use it. About I-40 northward is where there's any remote possibility of any flurry or wet snowflake mixed in. Basically in the model data, if you go with the European, but you can see it doesn't really add up to anything. The best areas here, northwest Oklahoma, right along the border, and that's about it. The American model, similar idea. Again, nothing really measurable, maybe far northeast, northwest, panhandle. Let's go to the Icon models, the German model. Same idea. You might get lucky to see a little bit of snow somewhere in the northern half of the state. Otherwise, it favors up here to the Panhandle area. And finally, the NAM model does the same thing. I know what you're thinking, but I'm in Kansas. I'm watching you from up here. What's it looking like up here in Kansas? Well, if you want to take a car and drive, if you live in Oklahoma, you don't have to go far to get into some action. So there's the NAM model, 6 to 7 inches of snow in some of the heavier areas. Otherwise, widespread 1 to 5 inches across the state of Kansas. Here's the Icon model, same idea. All right, some areas a little heavier than that. The American model, there's almost a foot in Manhattan. The American model likes to get carried away, though. You know, it's all about America, right? Then you got the European, but hold on. Europeans say, wait a minute. I don't know what they say over Europe. They say, if we say America, what do they say? I don't know, but they got a foot over there in their Garden City on another random location. Point being is the take-home widespread 1 to 5 inches up here in Canada, and yeah, they're going to have some strips in here of 6, 7, or maybe 8 inches of snow. So that's what you're going to have with this first system. You see how sad that is? Listen, Kansas is not that far away. I mean, literally, it is very close to Oklahoma. So when you get a storm system several days out that advertises the potential, and you get all excited about it, and at the last minute it pulls wool from your eyes, or whatever they call it, it's just lame. Anyway, so moderate impacts here in the orange and minor in the yellow. What's that for? Blowing snow, just for reduced visibility. So again, if you're traveling out here, you're going to have a little bit more of an issue than you would in the rest of Kansas or Oklahoma at the onset of the start of the system. Okay, and then of course, as that snow builds for the rest of Kansas, you'll still have some minor impacts on the roadways just because of, it'll still be melted. So I don't anticipate a huge problem, but it is snow, so you gotta be careful. Okay, so let's look at the next system. So this is where it gets fun. And I remember, the last system we had, the one that we're coming in for, tomorrow and or Monday and Tuesday, it looks solid, right? I mean, same track day in and day out for like 4 days in a row, and then all of a sudden, it just went a little more like this, and then it went boop like that. So in 2 days, it erased a 4-day trend. Now, this what I'm going to show you is a hot mess. We're going to try to get a trend out of it today, and then we're going to see what that trend does over the next couple of days, because it's going to matter, again, of who gets the heavy snow. It is what it is. When it comes to snowfall forecast, the upper track is the most important. Okay, so this is the European data. This is on Friday morning. So on Friday morning, this is what would be kind of the center of the upper low, or at least the shortwave trough. It's kind of it's an interesting configuration to the trough axis at this point in time. There's another system up here, by the way, we'll talk about, which is another one coming after this one. All right, so let's see the climate model. We don't care about that one, but if we did, the climate model would have a big long wave trough way back here. In other words, very late, whereas the European is very early, pushes it all the way through. Let's take a look at the Canadian. The Canadian has the same idea as the European as far as the kind of the look to the track and also the position. The trough axis is already right along and through the I-35 corridor. That means that most of the action, the precipitation is already over. In other words, it'd be a Thursday night into Friday morning time frame. All right, let's go to the American model. Now, what in the world is this? Okay, now American model is way back here. Remember the climate model? Well, this is the GFS. This is the American model. It's back here with the climate model. And it's got down here around El Paso for its center of the upper low with a different configuration look to it. All right, let's go to the Germans. The icon, what are they doing? Well, they're split. Well, they're going to do the same thing. Trough axis way to the west, but the center of it's a little bit more up here than it is down there. But it still has a little bit of work to go to fill that in. And then the UK Met, what's it doing? It likes the western track too. All right. So what do we have here? Okay, we got one track over here for the UK Met. Icon models like this. American models like this. Canadian models like this. European model is like this. And the climate model, we don't really use that for this type of forecasting event, but we'll use it for trends over here. So now you have, what do you have? Groupings, right? So you've got group 1 here, and you've got group 2 here. So which do you want? If you're a snow lover, you don't want group 1. Group 1's too fast. Doesn't really have a very strong look to it. Group 2, much better. All right. In other words, you have more time to work with. Why? Because you need the cold air to get in place. So that is why we have to focus on what's going to happen for Friday. Because it can end up being quite a mess, but a lot of it has to come together just right. But right now, the easier call would be like Kansas again. But for Oklahoma, like I said, that's always a more challenging position. It's not that far away. So when I animate this, we talk about the Arctic air. We've done this before, but look at all the purples that'll start to build here in Canada. And then they'll kind of zip on down to the south. They'll spill out over the Rockies. And then it'll spill out over the northern plains, and it'll start to come right down here. There's a first little quick shot there. It was a weak one. Here comes a secondary shot right here by the time we get to 11th and 12th. And you can see how it kind of starts to filter into Oklahoma. And there's a last shot coming in here. There we go, right at the end. That really just kind of infiltrates a good chunk of the country, with the exception of the far southeast. By the time we get to the 15th of the month, with these numbers in here in the minus 20s and 30s, that's a temperature of 1 degree, for example, here in Oklahoma City. So, in other words, we have a potential to get some really cold stuff in here. And the models every day say something different. I want to show you what's cool because when we look for Arctic air, I want to give you a little trick here in the dew point value. So I'm going to put this in motion for you. So the best way to really measure Arctic air is the dew points. And you can do that in this particular map color by all the browns, where it's kind of a brown and orangish area. And I do mean dark brown and oranges. So when you see that, that means you've got true Arctic air versus, say, up down here, you got the greens and the yellows, or excuse me, the greens and the purples and blue. That's all moisture. So look how this Arctic air, as we go through time here, start to zip through the Rockies, get a little taste of out here in West Texas, and then zips through here the Central Plains up into the Midwest, and it spirals down here out of Canada, and then comes on down here into the Central and Southern Plains, expands across the Northeast, and you get wave after wave. So if you're trying to time wave after wave of surface highs and Arctic blasts, temperatures can be misleading because they can be affected by cloud cover, snow on the ground, the time of day, but the dew points don't lie. So the dew points is a great way to find out when you get certain waves of Arctic air that moves through, and where you have like an old Arctic air mass that sticks around. So for example, we'll go here, look how Arctic air just pushed through, here's the really dense stuff here. The stuff that kind of erodes a bit has pushed down to here. It's not nearly as aggressive. Sometimes that can be like a continental polar air mass ahead of it. So what you really want is these dew point values in the single digits and negative numbers. That's the true Arctic air. So if you look here, it blasts in Oklahoma. So we'll call it here for the true Arctic air anchored across Oklahoma on, let's say, the 16th in the morning. Now watch what happens. Now that Arctic air tries to erode. All right. Now it's still kind of holding because it's very dense, but the rest air around it is starting to modify. Starting to moisten up a bit as the atmosphere mixes. As we head into the 17th, hold on a second. Let me get back over there. Where was I? I pressed the wrong button. Okay, try this again. All right, there it starts to erode. See all that? All of a sudden now the Arctic air is gone, pretty mixed out. And then look at this. See this right here? See this necessary wave? Boom. That comes back in on the 18th. And you get replenishing and replacement of more Arctic air. Now we're at -1 dew point, -6, -11. You're going, why do I care if it says a -11? Why do I care about -12 for a dew point? Well, because the actual air temperature, if it's clear skies and light winds, will fall pretty close to that dew point value, which means you could technically have a temperature of -11 degrees Fahrenheit here in Oklahoma if things were lined up perfectly. A lot of times this doesn't happen because, like I said, you have to have a lot of things that come together. But the point is, that potential always exists in that particular case. So anyway, it's a neat little deal. I just want to show you how you can be an armchair meteorology and try to time out Arctic front just by looking at a dew point map. Okay, so let's go to the temperatures, the actual air temperatures. Look at the model spread for Friday morning that day. Remember, you have two camps. Friday morning, a couple of models are already done the action. They're east of us. The other camp of models southwest of us still have things to go, things to do. So we'll start with the European. European data, for example, has the Arctic air through, which makes sense because the air will come in behind that system the way it's stacked up. So that would be temperatures in the 20s and teens here in Oklahoma, single digits up north. The Canadian model says we're already going to have the Arctic air all the way through the state, with the exception of far southeast Oklahoma, with actual air temperatures in the teens and single digits. The American model kind of splits the difference back along kind of the European idea, but Arctic air lingering a little bit more, so it's in the 30s and 20s across the northern, northwestern parts of the state. The German model, also 20s and teens, but single digits not too far away. If you blend the models and other models together, you got 30s and 20s and teens. They just kind of split the difference. And there's a UK Met, the warmest of all. It says, what Arctic air? Is there Arctic air out there? I don't even see it. Silly UK Met. Anyway, so the point being is Friday is our transition day, and depending on how that upper level pattern sets up is the timing in which the Arctic air will come in and the precipitation. Typically, the Arctic air comes in faster, and it will undercut the upper pattern regardless. And so what my guess is will be colder on those colder model outputs for Friday. So Thursday will be your last somewhat warm day, if you don't even call it warm. All right, let's go to the European ensembles for snowfall. For this first system here in Oklahoma City, it was actually pretty excited about at least getting some measurable snow. But by measurable, I mean a trace to maybe as much as half an inch. There are some blanks here, which means that the members did not think it would snow at all. I'll be curious to see how this updates. I think this is going to drop even more. We have less ensemble models that'll say it'll snow, which means that confidence of the model goes down. But you'll notice it actually has more confidence and more output for the secondary one here for Friday. And then it has residual, because it's a noisy, messy pattern after that for the weekend after a couple of days. There's still signals of snow that we're going to have to look for with the active jet stream pattern overhead. But for right now, Storm 1, Storm 2 are the two strongest signals, and the strongest being the better signal of the two in the European outputs. Let's talk about snowfall amounts as a trend. In other words, as what the models say the potential is there, because we know how this goes when you're this far out. All right. The European, lots of places up here around a foot of snow. Down here in southern Oklahoma, nothing. I-40 corridor seems to be the cutoff line. Again, this is for the next Friday's storm system. If we go into the Canadian model, same idea with a hard cutoff around I-40, not much under that south, but north as much as maybe a foot of snow possible. We'll see. Panhandle, northern, northwest Oklahoma. The American model, GFS, says, you know what, let's just bring it all in. Let's bring it all the way south. Now, the reason why it brings it all the way south is because that storm system center was El Paso. So the storm system itself was way south. So that brings all the heavy precipitation with it south as well, which is great for us if you want snow. Like it has a foot of snow here in Oklahoma City, for example. That would be awesome, right? I know, for me, for snow lovers. If you don't like snow, no, it will not be awesome. But if you do love snow, it'll be awesome. Anyway, a foot more to eastern Oklahoma, and then there's the Ozarks and everything in Kansas, Missouri, still large signals there. But again, keep in mind, the American model likes to get carried away. All right, the Icon model, the German model. This is interesting. So I don't use it a whole lot just because the data we've always had over here has been pretty sparse as far as what we can get. So I don't have a good historical use of the Icon model as far as its accuracy goes. But for what it says, it's got a mixed bag of anywhere. It's got the whole state covered in snow, but it has anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5 inches widespread. And then it's got these little pockets out here near a foot in the east and near a foot in the west. And if you blend them all together, it likes the run-of-the-mill I-40 corridor as a cutoff with just light stuff south of that, and then all the heavy stuff north of that on into Kansas, Missouri, and etc. So that is the way the model outputs go for snow on Friday. Temperature-wise, again, not a bad day today with the 50s around. Same thing for really often on the next few days. A little dip here for Tuesday because of that little storm system. And then Friday, this is where things get interesting. Do we hit 33? We probably would, but it would be in the midnight hour. So in other words, you'd spend the rest of the day on Friday probably in the 20s. In other words, in these drops, this would not be the low. You'd probably have a lower low than that. And then on Saturday, if you're at 9 and it's true Arctic air, you probably won't hit that 30. You'll be stuck into the low 20s kind of a deal, if that, usually upper teens. Even if there's any snow on the ground at all, then you'll be stuck into the lower to mid-teens. But same thing for that. So on all these dates, this is all suspect and subject to change, and it will. I've been watching this for a couple of days, and these numbers have been going all over the place because models don't know what to do with the Arctic air. Do they erode it? Do they move it? Does another resurgence come in? Is there precipitation on the ground so it kind of retards the warming? There's all kinds of stuff that can go into that extended outlook, so that will be changing. But just know that it's going to be cold. You will need your coats, your gloves, your mittens, your long underwear, your whatever to stay warm, as we're going to be stuck into a cold pattern. So I know it's kind of long-winded, but it was fun. It's a Saturday afternoon. We got some time, right? Larry, by the way, thank you for the stars. Appreciate you, sir. Julie in the house with some stars as well. Thank you. So if you kind of got in here late and you missed out, you're like, oh, okay, give me the 30-second version. First storm system we have for Monday night and Tuesday is taking a jog to the north, just like the last one did, which means bulk of the snow falls across Kansas and not in Oklahoma. We get the northwestern and northern counties, and that's about it. And not that big of a deal. Really, even for others, there'll be some blowing snow at times. It will be kind of windy, so you might have some low visibility issues, probably the biggest concern with that. Then that gets out of here, all right? And then the Arctic air looks like to arrive on Friday. Timing, odds are probably earlier in the day versus later in the day. I always take an early account for Arctic air arrival, regardless of what the models to tell you. Just bet against them. Do the Vegas odds. As far as storm systems go, that one has potential to be a better storm system maker because we don't have to deal with too much warm air in place with the cold front already through. The position, however, in the track and how this track comes out, in other words, does a storm come out kind of with a positive tilt or negative tilt, trough axis to it? All those things matter as far as amounts of precipitation and the exact placement. And that, as you saw earlier, is a mixed bag of nonsense. So we do know Friday is the day. How it comes out together, it's questionable. Right now, there's a split camp where most of the snow is along and north of I-40. The other split camp says, let's go ahead and bring it down south through the rest of Oklahoma. So we'll have to see which one verifies. We'll have to see a trend. Right now there's been no trend. So the only trend is timing, which is the day. And the only trend is the signal. So we know both of those are happening. So what is going to happen? It's not like it's not going to happen. It's just the devil's in the details as far as exact placement and then the exact amounts. And we'll get a better idea on that in the coming days of the upcoming week. Jared, thank you very much. Oh, always getting some fresh snow out there in Colorado, New Mexico, really the Rockies themselves. That cold air means business across those folks too. Okay, so I think that was all the highlights. If you started late, remember you can join the new broadcast channel. I'll post the links again. You can click on that as I sign off. You can hit that on your way out the door, and that way you can join that group. And when you do, that way you'll get a notification when I go live so you don't miss them, because I'll be doing them more now that we've actually got weather to talk about. When the weather's very quiet and boring, I don't get on a lot just because it's boring. So I don't need to tell you boring weather. You can look at my app for that. Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free, Apple, Google Play. You can track the storms on the radar. I have the road conditions on there, so if you are doing some traveling around the region, you can track to see how those are going, if they're closed or slow from weather, all that kind of stuff. But that'll get you the information you need. I guess that's about it. So I'll do a blog tomorrow. I usually do blogs every Sunday in the afternoon. So I'll put one out so you can read that and share that as well. And then I'll probably go live again, maybe Monday. I don't know, sometime soon. I don't know if I'll go tomorrow. It just kind of depends what I've got going on. But appreciate you guys stopping by today and your comments. You guys on YouTube, again, always thanks for checking in. Jim's here, but he's late. Don't be late to the party, Jim. You know the rules. And for you newbies, it's LTTP. So that's late to the party. You don't want to be LTTP. But the good news is you can always watch a replay. Guys on Rumble, also thanks for watching. Same thing, the replay. And you guys on Gab, thanks for watching the replay as well. When Gab allows me to go live, or actually not just me, but everybody, I'll go live on Gab as well. But for right now, I'll do it on the 2 Facebook pages, YouTube, and Rumble. So those are my options. If I get more options, I'll put them out there for you. You guys like herding cats. Everybody's on a different platform these days. Lyndall, thank you for the stars. Appreciate the love and the support. And Casey, you are so late. you're going to have to watch the replay because I'm out. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. Stay warm. Well, actually, it's not hard to stay warm this time around, but you're going to need to stay warm later next week. Mark my words. All right, take care. See ya.